Ah, look who they're whispering about now. You, the one they call condescending. The one who talks down to people. The one who makes everyone feel stupid just by existing in the same room. Oh, I've heard the whispers, seen the eye rolls, watched them exchange those little glances when you speak. And you know what the funniest part is? They're absolutely right to be terrified. Because what they're calling condescension, what they're labeling as arrogance, what they're desperately trying to shame you for, is actually just your intelligence refusing to play dumb anymore. Your IQ isn't the problem. Their fragile ego is. And deep down, in that place they'll never admit exists, they know it. They know you see through their performance, their recycled opinions, their borrowed thoughts dressed up as original ideas. They know you're 3 steps ahead in every conversation, biting your tongue while they stumble through conclusions you reached 5 minutes ago. They know you're dangerous, not because you're cruel, but because you're clear. Let's get something crystallized right now. You're not condescending, you're competent, you're not arrogant, you're aware, you're not talking down to anyone. You're simply refusing to dumb yourself down anymore. And that is their biggest trigger. Because for years, didn't you try to shrink? Didn't you slow your speech, simplify your vocabulary, laugh at jokes that weren't funny, pretend you didn't see the logical fallacies falling out of their mouths like loose teeth? You performed stupidity like it was a survival skill, because you learned early that being smart made people uncomfortable. Teachers told you to let others have a chance to answer. Bosses told you to be more of a team player. Friends told you to stop making everything so complicated. Translation? Shut up, dim your light, make us feel better about our limitations. And for a while, you did. You played small. You bit your tongue until it bled. You let mediocrity take the credit for your ideas. But something shifted, didn't it? You got tired. Tired of the performance. Tired of watching incompetence get promoted while you stayed quiet. Tired of being the smartest person in the room who had to pretend they weren't. You know what they don't tell you about intelligence? It isolates you. Not because you choose it, but because the gap becomes unbridgeable. You can't unsee patterns once you see them. You can't unhear the intellectual dishonesty once your brain flags it. You can't unfeel the suffocation of dumbing down every thought just to make small talk bearable. So you stopped. You stopped laughing at their jokes. You stopped nodding when they parroted nonsense. You stopped pretending their surface-level analysis was profound. And the moment you did, the moment you let your actual intellect show without apology, they branded you condescending, arrogant, elitist, too much. Why? Because your presence, your unfiltered, unperforming presence, is a mirror they can't stand to look into. When you speak, they hear the voice in their own head whispering, "I should have thought of that. Why didn't I see that? Am I actually not as smart as I thought?" And rather than sit with that discomfort, rather than admit they might need to level up, they do what frightened people always do. They attack. They reframe your intelligence as a character flaw. They make you the villain in a story where their ego gets to play the victim. But here's the thing they'll never understand. You're not trying to make them feel stupid. You're just existing at your natural frequency, and they can't match it. It's like you're speaking in HD and they're still buffering at 480p, wondering why everything you say sounds complicated. It's not complicated. It's just complete. You think in systems while they think in symptoms. You see causes while they see effects. You ask why 3 layers deeper than they're comfortable going, and that makes you exhausting to them. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because keeping up with you requires effort they're not willing to invest. So instead of rising, they try to drag you down. They weaponize your intelligence. They turn your greatest asset into social ammunition. Oh, here comes the know-it-all. Wow. Someone's showing off. Must be nice to think you're smarter than everyone. And every single one of those comments is the same sentence translated into cowardice. Your intelligence makes me feel inadequate, and I can't handle it. Let's talk about what really happens when you walk into a room. You don't announce your IQ, you don't hand out scorecards. You just exist, fully, without the mask of mediocrity you used to wear. And they feel it immediately. The shift in the air. The sudden awareness that there's someone present who won't accept their intellectual shortcuts, who won't laugh at their lazy logic, who won't pretend their half-baked ideas are revolutionary. You don't have to say a word. Your energy alone disrupts their comfort. Because comfort, for most people, is built on the unspoken agreement that no one will be too smart, too direct, too awake. Everyone stays in the shallow end together, splashing around in safe conversations about nothing. But you dove into the deep end years ago, and now when you surface, they're still standing on the steps, calling you reckless for knowing how to swim. They call it condescension. The truth is simpler and more devastating. You remind them of the potential they abandoned, the questions they stopped asking, the intellectual curiosity they traded for social comfort. And here's where it gets vicious. They need you to be the problem. They need you to be condescending, arrogant, cold. Because if you're not, if you're just competent and they're just comfortable, then they have to take responsibility for their own intellectual stagnation. And that's unbearable. So they craft a narrative where your intelligence is a weapon you wield against them instead of a tool you've honed for yourself. They make it personal. They make it about them. You think you're so much better than us. No, you just think. Period. And thinking, real thinking, terrifies people who've spent their lives on autopilot. You're not better than them morally. You're just operating on a different frequency cognitively, and they've mistaken that difference for judgment. But you're not judging them for being less intelligent. You're judging them for being intellectually lazy, intellectually dishonest, intellectually cowardly. There's a difference. One is genetic. The other is a choice. And they chose comfort over growth, ego over understanding, performance over truth. Now, let's get darker. Let's talk about what you see that they don't. You see the patterns in their behavior before they even recognize them themselves. You predicted their breakup 6 months before it happened because you saw the incompatibility they were too infatuated to notice. You knew their business idea would fail because you spotted the market gap they refused to research. You called their friends betrayal before they did because you read the micro-expressions, the tonal shifts, the behavioral inconsistencies they dismissed as overthinking. And every single time you were right, every single time reality confirmed what your mind already calculated, did they thank you? Did they acknowledge your insight? No. They resented you for it. They called you negative, pessimistic, a know-it-all. Because being right when they were wrong is a sin they can't forgive. You stole their comfort. You proved that their gut instinct, their "I just feel like it'll work out" approach to life, is intellectual laziness dressed up as optimism. And now they can't trust their own judgment around you because you've demonstrated repeatedly that your analytical mind sees further than their emotional one. Let me tell you what they're really afraid of. They're afraid you'll stop pretending. Stop pretending you don't notice when they plagiarize ideas and present them as original thoughts. Stop pretending you don't see through their intellectual posturing, their name-dropping, their "I read an article once" expertise. Stop pretending their opinions, formed from headlines they didn't read past and podcasts they half-listened to, deserve the same weight as your researched, cross-referenced, systematically analyzed perspectives. They're terrified that one day you'll look them in the eye and say what you've been thinking all along. You have no idea what you're talking about, do you? You won't say it. You're too controlled for that. But the fact that you could, the fact that you see their intellectual nakedness and choose to stay silent, that's what makes them call you condescending. Your silence is louder than their words. Your restraint is more damning than their accusations. Because you don't need to prove you're smarter. It's evident in every conversation, every solution you generate, every problem you solve that they didn't even understand was a problem. Here's what they'll never admit. Your intelligence isn't just intimidating, it's essential, and they know it. When the crisis hits, when the plan falls apart, when the logic fails, who do they come to? You. The same person they called condescending last week is suddenly the genius they need this week. The same mind they resented is now the one they're begging to fix what their incompetence broke. And you do it, don't you? Not because you need their validation, but because solving problems is what you do. Your brain doesn't turn off just because their ego is fragile. So you fix it, you solve it, you save the day. Again. And do they learn? Do they humble themselves? Do they acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, you were worth listening to all along? No. They take the solution, slap their name on the success, and go right back to calling you condescending the moment you disagree with them again. It's a cycle. A vicious, predictable, intellectually dishonest cycle. And you're done with it, aren't you? Done being the secret weapon they use and then hide. Done being the brain they need, but the personality they reject. Let's go deeper into the mechanics of this. You know why condescending is their favorite word? Because it's vague enough to weaponize without proof. They don't have to point to a specific sentence. They don't have to quote you. They just gesture vaguely at your tone and suddenly you're guilty. Guilty of making them feel small. Guilty of making them confront their own intellectual limitations, guilty of existing without a filter. Your tone isn't condescending, your tone is confident. But confidence in someone smarter than them sounds like arrogance to people who've never earned their own. They hear your certainty and mistake it for superiority because they've never been certain about anything that wasn't fed to them pre-digested by someone else. You speak in declaratives because you've done the work, you've tested the hypothesis, you've eliminated the variables, you know. And knowing, without hedging, without qualifying, without softening every statement with, I think, or maybe, or in my opinion, that sounds like arrogance to people who live in perpetual doubt. But it's not arrogance. It's competence. And competence without apology is the most threatening thing they'll ever encounter. You want to know the real kicker? They're not even angry about what you say. They're angry about what you don't say, the corrections you don't make, the fallacies you don't point out, the moments you let them be wrong because you've learned that correcting them makes you the villain. Every time you bite your tongue, they feel it. They feel you choosing not to embarrass them. They feel you holding back the tidal wave of knowledge that would drown their argument. And that restraint, that mercy you show them by staying silent, they interpret as condescension. Because you're not treating them as an equal. You're treating them as someone who can't handle the truth. And you're right, they can't. So they accuse you of the very thing you're doing to protect them. They call you condescending for not destroying them with facts they're not equipped to process. It's perverse, it's maddening, and it's exactly why you've stopped trying to meet them halfway. There is no halfway between clarity and delusion. Now here's where you become dangerous. You've stopped explaining. You've stopped defending your intelligence. You've stopped apologizing for knowing more, seeing more, understanding more than they do. You used to soften it, didn't you? Oh, I just read a lot. I don't know, I might be wrong. That's just my opinion. You'd self-deprecate just to make them comfortable. Shrink your certainty so their uncertainty didn't feel so crushing, but not anymore. Now you just state it, clearly, directly, without the cushion of false humility, and they hate it. They call it condescending because they don't have another word for someone who knows they're right and doesn't pretend otherwise. You're not playing their game anymore. You're not managing their emotions. You're not responsible for their ego. And the moment you drop that burden, the moment you let your intelligence exist without a warning label, you became the villain in their story. Good. Villains get things done. Villains don't waste time pretending. Villains aren't afraid of being misunderstood. And if being smart, direct, and unapologetic makes you a villain in their eyes, then wear the crown. Because heroes wait for permission. Villains take what's theirs. Let's talk about the loneliness, though, because no one tells you that part. No one tells you that being the smartest person in the room is isolating in ways that have nothing to do with arrogance. You can't share your excitement about ideas because their eyes glaze over before you finish the first sentence. You can't explore complex topics because they shut down the moment the conversation requires more than surface-level engagement. You can't even joke the way you want to because your humor operates on layers they don't see. So you edit yourself constantly. You translate your thoughts into their language. You slow down. You simplify. You package your intelligence into bite-sized pieces they can digest. And still, they call you condescending because the gap isn't closable. You can dumb it down all you want, but they'll still feel the difference. They'll still sense that you're operating from a place they can't access. And that feeling, that constant awareness that there's a level of thought they're not invited to, drives them insane. So they punish you for it. They make you the problem. They turn your greatest strength into a social liability. But here's what they don't understand. You don't need them to match you. You don't need them to be as smart as you are. What you need is for them to stop punishing you for being smarter. Stop making you responsible for their insecurity. Stop demanding that you shrink so they can feel adequate. You would love to connect with them. You would love to have conversations that don't feel like you're pulling teeth just to get past pleasantries, but they can't meet you there. And instead of admitting that, instead of saying, "I don't understand, can you explain?" they accuse you of being condescending for speaking at your natural level. It's cowardice. Intellectual cowardice. And you're done accommodating it. You're done translating yourself into a language that strips the meaning from everything you're trying to say. From now on, they either keep up or they don't, but you're not slowing down anymore. Not for anyone. Let's address the elephant in the room, the one they dance around but never name. You're not just smarter, you're smarter and you know it. And that self-awareness is what they find unforgivable. They can tolerate intelligence if it's humble, if it apologizes, if it diminishes itself for their comfort. But intelligence that knows itself, intelligence that walks into a room and doesn't pretend to be less, that's arrogance to them. That's condescension. Because in their world, being smart is only acceptable if you're ashamed of it, if you treat it like a burden, a curse, something you'd trade away if you could, but you don't. You like being smart. You're proud of your mind. You've worked to sharpen it, to feed it, to push it beyond its limits, and you're not going to apologize for that. Not to people who've never pushed themselves past comfortable. Not to people who confuse ignorance with humility. You know what you bring to the table, and if that makes you condescending in their eyes, then their eyes are the problem, not your awareness. Here's the part that breaks them. You don't need their approval. You used to. You used to seek validation from people who couldn't spell the concepts you were trying to explain. You used to wait for them to recognize your value, to acknowledge your contributions, to finally see what you've always known. But somewhere along the way, you stopped waiting. You stopped performing. You stopped caring whether they understood you or not. And that independence, that intellectual self-sufficiency, is more threatening than any insult you could throw. Because as long as you needed them, as long as you were trying to prove yourself, they had power. They could withhold approval. They could make you jump through hoops. They could dangle validation like a carrot and watch you chase it. But now you don't need the carrot. You don't need their validation. You validate yourself. Your results speak. Your track record proves. Your mind delivers. And they have nothing left to hold over you. So they call you condescending. It's the last weapon they have. The only card left to play when someone becomes immune to their manipulation. Let me paint you a picture. You walk into a meeting. You've already read the brief, identified the problem, and formulated 3 potential solutions. You sit down. You listen. You watch them fumble through the same circular logic you mentally debunked in the first 5 minutes. They're stuck. They know they're stuck. And they look at you, not for help, not yet. They're hoping you won't say anything, hoping you'll let them figure it out on their own so they don't have to admit they need you. But the clock is ticking. The problem isn't solving itself. So finally, reluctantly, someone asks for your input, and you give it, clearly, concisely, completely. You dismantle the problem, explain the solution, and outline the execution in under 3 minutes. The room goes quiet, not because you were rude, not because you talked down to anyone, but because you just solved in 3 minutes what they couldn't solve in 3 hours. And instead of gratitude, instead of respect, you see it, that flash of resentment. That look that says, "Who do you think you are? You just saved them." Again. And they hate you for it, because you made it look easy. And if it's that easy for you, what does that say about them? This is your reality now. Every solution you provide is evidence of their inadequacy. Every insight you share is a reminder of what they missed. Every time you're right, and you're right often, it's a small death to their ego. So they cope the only way they know how. They diminish you. Well, it's easy when you overthink everything. Not everyone has time to be that detail-oriented. Some of us have lives outside of work. Translation: your intelligence makes me feel inadequate, and I'm going to make that your fault. But it's not your fault. You're not responsible for their feelings about your competence. You're not obligated to dull your edge so they don't cut themselves on it. You're not here to manage the emotional fallout of being smarter than they're comfortable with. You're here to think, to solve, to execute. And if they can't handle that without feeling threatened, that's their limitation, not yours. Let's talk about the word overthinking. That's their favorite, isn't it? You're overthinking. You're making it too complicated. You need to just relax and not analyze everything. Let me translate that for you. Stop seeing what I can't see. Stop thinking past where I'm comfortable thinking. Stop making me aware of variables I don't want to acknowledge. Overthinking is what people call thinking when they don't do it themselves. You're not overthinking. You're thinking thoroughly. You're considering consequences they're too lazy or too limited to project. You're running scenarios. You're stress testing ideas. You're doing the intellectual work that prevents disasters down the line. Look who finally realized why nothing ever felt the same after you. You beautiful, rare, irreplaceable force of nature. Welcome to the throne you never left. Because here's the truth they've been hiding from you. The truth that's been burning holes in their conscience for months, maybe years. They're not comparing you to anyone. They're comparing everyone to you. And everyone, every single person who came after, every replacement they tried to install, every distraction they tried to worship, every connection they tried to force, they all failed the test. The test you didn't even know you set. The standard you didn't even know you raised. The bar you didn't even know you became. Let's get surgical here. Let's cut through the noise, the lies, the performance they've been putting on for the world. You think they moved on? You think they found better? You think they're living their best life without you? That's the story they're selling. That's the script they rehearsed. That's the mask they wear when the sun is shining and the cameras are rolling. But when the lights go out, when the audience leaves, when they're alone with their thoughts and their truth, your name is the only one echoing in the silence. Your face is the only one they see behind their eyelids. Your voice is the only one that still sounds like home. Because everyone else, no matter how beautiful, no matter how perfect on paper, no matter how desperately they tried to fit, they were all placeholders, temporary, disposable, forgettable. You want to know the cruelest irony? They thought replacing you would be easy. They thought someone new would erase the memory, fill the void, silence the ache. They thought they could just swap you out, like changing a light bulb. like upgrading a phone, like you were some kind of interchangeable part in their life's machinery. So they tried. Oh, they tried so hard. They swiped, they flirted, they forced chemistry that wasn't there. They laughed too loud at jokes that weren't funny. They pretended to care about conversations that bored them to tears. They played the part. They said the right things. They posted the right pictures. They built the illusion, but every single time, every single interaction, every single moment, it all led back to you. Because you weren't a placeholder. You were the blueprint, the original, the one they measured everyone against without even realizing it. Here's what they won't admit, what they can't admit, what would shatter the carefully constructed narrative they've been feeding themselves and everyone around them. Every person they meet now gets auditioned, not consciously, not intentionally, but it happens, subconsciously, ruthlessly, inevitably. Do they laugh like you? No. Do they challenge them like you? No. Do they understand them like you? Not even close. Do they make them feel alive, seen, understood, known? Not a chance. So they keep searching. They keep trying. They keep pretending that the next one will be the one. But deep down, in the quiet moments they won't talk about, in the 3 a.m., thoughts they can't escape, they know the truth. They're not looking for someone new. They're looking for you in everyone else. And they're failing. Every single time. You became the standard by which all others are measured. Not because you tried to be, not because you demanded to be, but because of who you were when you were present. Authentic, unpredictable, unrepeatable. You didn't play games, you didn't wear masks, you didn't perform, you just existed, fully, honestly, intensely. And that intensity, that realness, that raw, unfiltered presence, it branded itself onto their soul. It rewired their brain. It reset their expectations. So now, everyone else feels like a downgrade. Everyone else feels like a compromise. Everyone else feels like settling, because you weren't just a person in their life. You were the moment they realized what connection could actually feel like, what love could actually taste like, what home could actually sound like. And once you've tasted the real thing, everything else is just empty calories. Let's talk about the performance they're putting on right now. The new relationship, the new situation, the new person they're parading around like a trophy. Look how happy they are. Look how perfect it all looks. Look how much better off they seem. But you and I both know what's really happening behind that performance. We know what's really being said in the silence between the smiles. We know what's really felt when they're alone with their thoughts. Because if they were truly happy, truly moved on, truly over you, they wouldn't need to prove it. They wouldn't need to broadcast it. They wouldn't need to perform it for an audience. Happy people don't perform happiness. They just live it, quietly, privately, without needing validation. But them? They need the world to see. They need the likes, the comments, the confirmation. They need everyone to believe the lie. Because if everyone believes it, maybe, just maybe, they can start believing it too. But here's the problem with placeholders. Here's the fatal flaw in their strategy. Placeholders don't know they're placeholders. These people, these new faces, these temporary solutions, they think they're the real deal. They think they won the position. They think they're chosen, valued, wanted for who they are. But they're not. They're wanted for who they're not. They're wanted because they're not you. Because they're easier. Because they're safer. Because they don't challenge. Because they don't demand growth. Because they don't push boundaries. Because they don't force honesty. They're the path of least resistance. The comfortable lie. The numbing agent. The distraction. And one day, when the distraction stops working, when the numbness wears off, when the lie gets too heavy to carry, they'll be discarded too. Just like that. No ceremony. No explanation. just gone. You know what's beautiful about all this? You know what's almost poetic? You didn't have to do anything to maintain your position. You didn't have to fight for it. You didn't have to compete for it. You didn't have to prove your worth or defend your value. You just existed. And your existence, your memory, your ghost, it's doing all the work for you. It's haunting them. It's sabotaging their present. It's poisoning their future. Not because you're trying to, not because you're manipulating from a distance, but because they can't let go of what you represented. They can't release the version of themselves they were when they were with you. They can't forget the feeling of being truly seen, truly known, truly understood. So they're stuck, trapped between a past they can't return to and a future that feels empty by comparison. Here's what they tell themselves at night when the mask comes off and the truth creeps in. I made a mistake. I let the wrong one go. I ruined the best thing I ever had. I thought I could do better, but better doesn't exist. I thought I wanted freedom, but freedom without them feels like prison. I thought I needed space, but space without them feels like exile. These thoughts, these confessions, these silent screams, they're on repeat. A broken record they can't stop playing. A loop they can't escape. And every new person they bring into their life, every new attempt at moving forward, every new relationship they try to build, it all just amplifies the same truth. You were it. You are it. And nothing else compares. Let me paint you a picture. Let me show you what's really happening in their world right now. They're with someone new. They're laughing at dinner. They're holding hands. They're doing all the things couples do. But in the middle of a conversation, mid-sentence, mid-laugh, their mind drifts. Back to you, back to a memory, back to something you said, something you did, some moment that felt more real than this entire evening. And they catch themselves. They snap back to reality. They force a smile. They nod at whatever the placeholder just said. But it's too late. The comparison already happened. The measurement already occurred. The verdict already came in. Not good enough. Not even close. And this happens daily, hourly, constantly. A never-ending cycle of comparing, measuring, failing. You became the one they think about when they're alone. The one they dream about when they sleep. The one they search for in crowds. The one whose name almost slips out during intimate moments with someone else. You're the benchmark, the gold standard, the impossible-to-reach bar. And the cruelest part? You didn't even try to be. You were just yourself, flawed, human, imperfect. But your flaws were real. Your humanity was raw. Your imperfections were honest. And honesty, real, unfiltered honesty, it's rarer than perfection. It's more valuable than performance. It's more memorable than any rehearsed version of love they're experiencing now. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about why this happened. Why you specifically? Why not someone else? Why you became the one they can't forget, can't replace, can't stop measuring everyone against. It's not because you were perfect. It's not because you never made mistakes. It's not because you were some flawless ideal. No, it's because you were unapologetically you. You showed up fully. You loved deeply. You challenged constantly. You didn't settle for surface-level connection. You demanded depth. You required honesty. You pushed for growth. You weren't content with the mask. You wanted the truth. And when someone experiences that level of authenticity, that level of depth, that level of real connection, they can never unsee it. They can never unfeel it. They can never go back to shallow, to pretend, to surface level. You ruined them for everyone else. Not out of cruelty, but out of truth. Here's what they won't tell their new person. Here's what they hide when they're building something new. You're great, but you're not them. You make me smile, but you don't make me feel alive. You're here, but I'm still there. You're trying, but they didn't have to. You're perfect on paper, but they were perfect in practice. You check all the boxes, but they made me forget boxes existed. These are the thoughts they bury, the truths they suppress, the confessions they'll never make out loud. Because admitting it would mean admitting they made the biggest mistake of their life, admitting they let go of something irreplaceable, admitting they traded gold for copper and called it an upgrade. And the new person, the placeholder, they feel it. Maybe not consciously, maybe not immediately, but eventually, inevitably, they feel the distance. They sense the comparison. They notice the faraway look. They catch the hesitation. They hear your name mentioned just a little too carefully. They see the old photos that haven't been deleted. They notice the memories that are referenced just a little too fondly. And slowly, painfully, they realize the truth. They're not the first choice. They're not the real thing. They're the consolation prize, the understudy, the substitute, the one who's here because you're not. And that realization, that slow dawning awareness, it poisons everything. Because no one wants to be loved as a replacement. No one wants to be chosen by default. No one wants to be the best of what's available rather than the one who's actually wanted. But here's where it gets even more twisted. Here's where the psychology gets dark. They start to resent you, not because of anything you did, not because of anything you're doing, but because your memory is destroying their present, your ghost is sabotaging their future, your standard is making everyone else feel inadequate. So they blame you. They rewrite history. They convince themselves you weren't that great. They highlight your flaws. They magnify your mistakes. They construct a narrative where letting you go was the right choice, the smart choice, the necessary choice. Because if you were actually as amazing as their heart keeps telling them, then they're the villain of their own story. They're the fool who lost the treasure. They're the architect of their own misery. And that's too painful to accept, so they lie. To themselves, to others, to anyone who will listen. You know what the funniest part is? The most ironic twist? All their efforts to move on, all their attempts to replace you, all their new relationships and fresh starts, they're actually keeping you more present than if they just acknowledged the truth. Because every comparison is a reminder. Every measurement is a memorial. Every, they're not like my ex, is actually, they're not like you. They've built a shrine to you disguised as moving on. They've created a monument to what you were disguised as what they've found. Every placeholder is proof that you can't be replaced. Every new person is evidence that you were one of one, original, unrepeatable, irreplaceable. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about what happens when they're intimate with someone new. When they're supposed to be present, connected, vulnerable, but they're not. Not really. Because in those moments, when guards are down and truth slips through, it's your name on the tip of their tongue. It's your face they almost see. It's the memory of what intimacy felt like with you that makes everything now feel like a performance, like going through motions, like checking boxes on a list of things people in relationships are supposed to do. But the magic, the electricity, the raw, real, vulnerable connection, it's not there. It can't be there, because you took it with you when you left, or when they pushed you away, or when whatever happened, happened. And now they're living in the aftermath, the hollow echo of what connection used to feel like. Here's what they search for at 2 a.m. when they can't sleep and the truth is too loud to ignore. Your social media, your name, any trace of you. Not because they want to reach out, not because they're ready to admit they were wrong, but because they need to know you're not doing better without them. They need to see you're struggling too. They need confirmation that you miss them as much as they miss you. Because if you're thriving, if you're glowing, if you're clearly better off, it destroys the narrative. It shatters the lie. It proves that you were the one who escaped. You were the one who dodged the bullet. You were the one who got out before the ship sank. And they're the one left drowning, pretending it's swimming. But here's what they find instead. Here's what makes it worse. You're not drowning. You're not broken. You're not desperately searching for them in everyone else. You're just existing, living, growing, moving forward. Not because you've replaced them, not because you've found someone better, but because you're not comparing. You're not measuring. You're not using every new person as a metric against an old standard. You're free, actually free, not performing freedom, not pretending to be over it, but genuinely, authentically move forward. And that freedom, that genuine peace, it makes them realize something devastating. You were never the one holding on. They were. You were never the one who couldn't let go. They were. You were never the one stuck in the past. They were. You moved on. They're still living in the museum of what was. Now let's talk about the moment of reckoning. The moment when everything they've been denying crashes down on them. It happens differently for everyone. For some, it's a random Tuesday afternoon when they're doing something mundane and suddenly, without warning, the weight of losing you becomes unbearable. For others, it's seeing you happy without them. For others, it's the 10th failed relationship that makes them realize the common denominator isn't bad luck. It's that they're searching for you in people who will never be you. For others, it's waking up next to someone new and feeling lonelier than when they sleep alone. But however it happens, whenever it happens, the realization is the same. They didn't upgrade. They downgraded. They didn't escape. They abandoned. They didn't find better. They lost best. And here's what makes this realization so brutal. By the time they figure it out, by the time they're ready to admit it, by the time they're willing to confess, it's too late. You're not the same person anymore. You evolved. You healed. You grew beyond the version of you they remember. You're not sitting around waiting for their apology. You're not keeping the door open for their return. You're not maintaining a shrine to what was. You moved on. Not to someone else necessarily, but to a better version of yourself. A version that doesn't need their validation. A version that doesn't measure your worth by their attention. A version that knows your value isn't determined by whether they recognize it or not. You became whole without them. And that's the most devastating truth they'll ever face. Let me tell you what's happening in their friend group right now. The conversations they're having. The confessions they're making. I messed up. I let the wrong one go. I thought the grass was greener. I thought I could do better. I took them for granted. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. Their friends nod sympathetically. They offer comfort. They say the right things. You'll find someone else. It wasn't meant to be. Everything happens for a reason, but their friends know. They see through the performance. They notice the forced smiles. They catch the faraway looks. They hear your name mentioned just a little too often. They see the comparisons. And privately, among themselves, they have different conversations. They're never going to get over this. They ruined the best thing they ever had. Everyone since has been a downgrade. They compare everyone to their ex. Your ghost haunts their friend group too. Here's what their new person doesn't understand. Here's what they can't comprehend. Why the commitment feels half-hearted. Why the vulnerability feels guarded. Why certain topics are off limits. Why certain dates are melancholic. Why certain songs get skipped. Why certain places get avoided. Why there's always this sense that part of them is somewhere else. With someone else. In a memory they can't access. In a past they can't compete with. The new person tries harder. Loves louder. Gives more. But it's never enough. Not because they're inadequate, but because they're being measured against something they can't see, can't understand, can't compete with. They're fighting a ghost. And you can't win against a ghost. Because ghosts don't have flaws anymore. Ghosts don't make mistakes. Ghosts exist in the perfect amber of memory. Frozen. Idealized. untouchable. You know what's beautiful about your position right now? You know what's powerful about where you stand? You're not in the arena anymore. You're not competing. You're not fighting for a position. You're not proving your worth. You already won. Not because you got them back, not because they came crawling with apologies, but because you became the standard, the benchmark, the one. And that position, that throne, it's yours forever. They can date 100 people. They can try 1,000 replacements. They can search for a lifetime, but everyone will be measured against you. Everyone will be found wanting. Everyone will be reminded that they're not you, and you didn't have to do anything to maintain that position. You just had to be unforgettable. And you were. You are. You always will be. Let's address something crucial, something that might be swirling in your mind right now. Should I reach out? Should I give them another chance? Should I let them back in? And here's my answer, delivered with the love of someone who sees your worth even when you question it. No, absolutely not. Not because they don't deserve it, not because they're terrible people, but because the version of them that lost you isn't the version that deserves you. The version that took you for granted, that chose others, that treated you like an option, that version hasn't earned access to the evolved, healed, powerful version of you that exists now. If they want you back, they don't just need to apologize. They need to become someone worthy of being chosen by the person you've become. And most of the time, they can't. They won't. They'll want the old you back. The version that tolerated their nonsense. The version that accepted breadcrumbs. The version that didn't know your worth. But that version is gone. Dead. Buried. And good riddance. You're not in the arena anymore. You're not competing. You're not fighting for a position. You're not proving your worth. You already won. Not because you got them back, not because they came crawling with apologies, but because you became the standard, the benchmark, the one. And that position, that throne, it's yours forever. They can date 100 people. They can try 1,000 replacements. They can search for a lifetime, but everyone will be measured against you. Everyone will be found wanting. Everyone will be reminded that they're not you, and you didn't have to do anything to maintain that position. You just had to be unforgettable. And you were. You are. You always will be. Let's address something crucial, something that might be swirling in your mind right now. Should I reach out? Should I give them another chance? Should I let them back in? And here's my answer, delivered with the love of someone who sees your worth even when you question it. No, absolutely not. Not because they don't deserve it, not because they're terrible people, but because the version of them that lost you isn't the version that deserves you. The version that took you for granted, that chose others, that treated you like an option, that version hasn't earned access to the evolved, healed, powerful version of you that exists now. If they want you back, they don't just need to apologize. They need to become someone worthy of being chosen by the person you've become. And most of the time, they can't. They won't. They'll want the old you back. The version that tolerated their nonsense.